This is Butch. I'm Ben. This is the legendary Ray Stevens. How are you, Ray?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Hey, listen, I'm doing better.
Hi, Butch. How are you?
Well, what are we going to talk about?
It's your show.
Yeah, but tell me about your buddy Dan King, all the bad things you know about him.
I try not to notice Dan. He's over there, hard not to notice, though. Now, he's a good friend of mine, lives here in Oklahoma City, and he set this deal up, and I'm going to get him later.
Ray, what about your music? You written The Streak, you wrote Mr. Businessman. Let's just talk about those two songs. The Streak was a nut house song. Mr. Businessman was an extremely serious song. I mean, you write serious songs and funny songs. How do they come to you?
How do the songs come to me? Well, let's see here. I got to make something up that's interesting. So I'll just say that, no, truthfully, I was inspired, you might say, to write The Streak when I read an article in a magazine. I think it was a little bitty article in the back of Newsweek months before streaking became a national fad. I was on an airplane, and it talked about a UCLA student who had streaked. I didn't even know what the word meant, and it said he took off his clothes at point A and ran through a crowd to point B, and that was it. I said, well, that's got to be a funny idea for a song. So I started writing a song, and as songwriters will do, I procrastinated when I got it sort of half written and stuck it in the piano bench. And all of a sudden, streaking became a big national item. So I dug out my song and finished it and ran in the studio and recorded it. Not fast enough, however. There were already 16 other streaking records on the market by the time I got mine out. However, luckily, mine was the one that made it. And somehow I attribute that to the fact that I got sort of a head start in the writing process. Most people wrote the songs in a hurry and just to get the records out to cash in on a fad. I started writing the song before it was a fad. And so I had the nucleus of the song laid out. And I think there were something like 35, 36 records released during that period on streaking, and mine was the one that made it. So I'm happy about that.
You're an extremely talented writer. As far as songwriting is concerned, does it take you a long time to write a song, or can you just get down?
That depends on the song. Sometimes they're easy, sometimes it takes like Everything is Beautiful, for instance, which is really a very simple song, up on the surface, that is. But it took me 3 days to write it. And not only that, it took me 3 trips to the studio to get it recorded right. I record, I do a rhythm track, and then I add all the strings and horns and voices and all the stuff. And I had to do 3 different rhythm tracks before I got it to start feeling right, 3 different sessions, but it was worth it.
What can we expect to see Ray Stevens doing in the future?
I don't know.
Major motion pictures, new TV shows, anything like that?
Well, I'm always trying to mainly write songs. And like I said earlier, I do procrastinate a lot, and I've got a lot of good ideas right now. We've been on the road since Hitler was a PFC, and as soon as we get home, I'm going to devote most of my time to writing. And as I said, I've got some ideas, and I want to get in the studio as soon as I get them written and try to do some records that could be called new and exciting, you might say. Something a little different. And if that turns out well, I have an idea in the back of my head for a TV show. Now, I don't know if it'll ever come to be, but I'm going to pitch it to some producers and see what happens.